question I get asked is, when did it all start and why?
How on earth do you raise £10 million in 3 years?
With Jim, you accepted things as normal, but it was abnormal.
That is supposed to be me. What did I ever do to you that you would draw that picture of me?
As gonna see they can catch me out, ladies and gentlemen, but they can't really catch me out. I've got eyes all over the head, you see.
October 16th, 2012. 450 people came forward accusing of horrific sexual abuse, including many children, teenagers, and even patients in hospitals and mental health institutions. The officers started a full-blown investigation by the Metropolitan Police and the NSPCC called Operation U-Tree. But who were all these claims pointing to? To really understand how this monster hid in plain sight for decades, we need to go back to where it all started. Jimmy Savile was born in 1926 in Leeds, which is in England. Grew up poor, big Catholic family, 7 kids. His dad worked selling insurance, not much money. His mom was super strict. He was weirdly close to her. During the war, he worked down in coal mines and got hurt bad. His back was messed up for life. After that, he didn't go back to normal jobs. He started DJing at clubs in the late 1940s. That's how he got into music. In the late 50s, he got a spot on Radio Luxembourg. That was his first real break. Then in 1964, he became the first presenter on Top of the Pops. That made him famous quick. He was all flashy, wearing chains, tracksuits, big personality. This is when story will get disturbing.
And a very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to some more Super Jim'll Fix It.
If you want a star and you sink in that swim, only the beat there, then you must write to Jim. If you want a gift, give you a wash, or have some men to serve you nosh. Be an envoy to the USSR, or take a date out in a miniature car. Jim will fix it. Jim will fix it. Jim will fix it. Ah, Jim will fix it. Jim will fix it. Jim will fix it. Yeah, Jim will fix it.
Back in 1975, the BBC launches this new family show called Jim'll Fix It. Jimmy Savile, who was already kind of famous from his radio work and from hosting Top of the Pops, was the face of the show. He hosted the whole thing. The point of the show was this: kids wrote letters to Jimmy asking him to fix something for them, meaning make something they dreamed about actually happen. Like, for example, a kid wants to ride in a race car. A kid wants to be a chef for a day. A kid wants to fly in a helicopter. Jimmy would get that letter, pick it out on the show, and they'd make it happen. The cameras would follow the whole thing, like a little story. At the end, Jimmy would give them this special medal that said, "Jim fixed it for me." People ate it up. Families across the UK would sit down together and watch this show every week. Kids started writing letters by the thousands. Every kid wanted to be picked. Oak Mandeville Hospital. He helped fundraise for this hospital and was seen as some kind of hero there. He had a private room and unlimited access, even at night. Leeds General Infirmary. This was in his hometown. He was basically treated like royalty there. Same thing. Private access, freedom to go anywhere. Broadmoor Hospital. A high-security psychiatric hospital. Jimmy had a key, not a joke. The hospital literally gave him a set of keys. He had influence over staff and even helped choose senior management at one point. But no one knows what he is doing with the patients. Jimmy Savile had ties to the royal family, especially in the later years. He wasn't super close with the Queen herself in a personal way, but he was respected by the royal household for a long time. In 1990, Queen Elizabeth II knighted him, gave him the title Sir Jimmy Savile for his so-called charity work and services to broadcasting. So at that point, the public thought, if the Queen's giving him a knighthood, he must be a great man. Savile was seen as kind of an unofficial advisor.
That you're ashamed of. And having done it, and then found that it was scrapped, didn't matter, once again, yeah, I felt upset, aggrieved, angry.
I watched these. I had absolutely decided that I would not make up my mind because he's not here to defend himself. It seems utterly unfair. But I must say that what these women say is so matter of fact. They corroborate each other. The style of the abuse and the attack on them was absolutely consistent one with each other. And I'm afraid the jury isn't out anymore.
And I opened the door and I walked in and Savile was sat in the chair with the right side of his body facing me. And there was a girl of about 14 with long brown hair, sat on his knee. He had his left arm up a skirt, and he was kissing her, but what I distinctly remember, and that's the image that sticks in my mind, was the fact as I opened the door, he turned his head and it was just his tongue that was just sort of coming out of her mouth that stuck in my mind. It was that image, so it wasn't just like a peck on the cheek that she jumped on his knee and sort of done it spontaneously. It was a definite sexual advance to this girl.
What I know about child abuse is it comes off on the child, and the child takes the guilt, the child takes the responsibility. And I say to these women, don't be angry with yourselves. It's the adult to blame. And it's the adult world that created this mythical figure who was above criticism, who was above blame. And of course he wasn't. And I feel that we, in television, in his world, in some way colluded with him as a child abuser, because I now believe that's what he was.
He started just coming in and plonking himself down and watching Top of the Pops with us on Lancaster Ward 1, which is where the incident happened. He was able to sit in front of the sofa on the floor and hide what he was doing, which he put his hand straight up my nightdress, and we weren't allowed to wear pants. So I was, unfortunately I could do nothing, I couldn't stop him, because Broadmoor staff would have punished me if I stood up and said what he was doing. They wouldn't have believed me, and they would have just punished me.
Jimmy Savile didn't have any trouble getting access to the high security unit. In fact, he had his very own special set of keys.
Because I remember his keys were gold coloured, and the staff's were just silver coloured. And it was like bowing and scraping to him as if he was some kind of god. But he was a DJ. What was he doing completely free in a top security mental hospital?
What was he doing? Well, at one point, he was actually running the hospital. This is how his appointment was reported at the time.
Dr. John Hamilton was replaced as medical director, and the 15-member board of management disbanded. The running of Broadmoor was effectively given over to a 5-man task force, headed by none other than Jimmy Savile.
His leadership strategy for Broadmoor at one with his image as a man of the people.
We are a great listening hospital. We listen to people. I listen to nurses, I listen to doctors, I listen to porters, I listen to drivers, I listen to everybody. We've turned into a great listening hospital.
And it was that powerful, trusted image which won him access to vulnerable young people. And no one, says Stephen George, was listening to them.
We were perfect victims, because in a place like Broadmoor, immediately people say, well, you're mad, you're bad, you're a nutter, therefore we don't believe anything you say, and that's exactly my experience.
Broadmoor was not the only NHS institution which allowed Jimmy Savile extraordinary access to wards. Former patients at Stoke Mandeville Hospital and Leeds General Infirmary have come forward claiming he sexually assaulted them. All three institutions say they are cooperating with police inquiries, but as yet are not carrying out investigations of their own. But there are, for many, questions to answer.
They're the ones, they should be in court. Because if you want to catch paedophiles, and not just him, all of them, they're always enabled. 9 times out of 10, people know. And it's those, the people who sit in silence, they're as bad as he is. And the people that gave him the access, they knew. Not every individual knew, but those that did were turning a blind eye to creating victims. And I just get so mad that those people are still having their lives, you know, drinking champagne, living good lives,